So look, I'm going to kick it off because there's a few housekeeping things that I'd like to get sorted out, especially for the recording. A lot of people have, like I said, expressed the desire to attend, but just because of the time, we might have to do a lunchtime one, or they can watch this on playback. So for anyone watching or listening, my name is Vadim Petrochenko. I am the other half of Blossom Capital Partners with Joanna and myself. We have been investing in startups for many years. We invest in startups directly ourselves, early stage tech, predominantly SaaS, but across many different verticals. And we have the pleasure of introducing Empiraa to you guys. Empiraa is an existing portfolio company. It is only our second follow-on investment into the syndicate that we've actually had. We have been lucky enough to invest in Empiraa from the very start of their journey. So from day zero investors, when it was just a PowerPoint presentation, an idea, Ash Brown pitched it to me and we absolutely loved the idea. And we said, we're definitely going to join you on this journey. We've been with him ever since, working within the business in an advisory capacity, unpaid, really because of being an existing portfolio company. And we've been really impressed to see how he's matured the business. And today we're really going to take a dive into what's been happening across the circa 4 years that we've been involved with Empiraa. And we'll talk a little bit more about why we're investing and we're finally making the decision to jump in. There's been a few little rounds that Ash has done over time. And while we've been involved with the business, we really believe that this is now the time for them to see an inflection in their growth and scale. We really think all the elements are right and give the opportunity to the syndicate to invest early on when the valuation's fantastic and the opportunity looks to be quite attainable. It's really important that's the case. So a bit of housekeeping. I'm just going to read a disclaimer. Disclaimer and confidentiality that the information you hear today is directly from the founder. It does not make up part of the official deal note, which has been written up and shared, and should not be relied upon to make investment decisions on its own. Everything you learn here today is confidential and should not be shared with others. We are recording. You'll get a copy of the recording, so please note the recording is also confidential and should not be shared with others. All right, so with that, I just want to go into a little bit about why we have presented this opportunity to the syndicate, why we think this is actually the right time for the syndicate to consider investment into Empiraa. So we've seen this business evolve from an idea to where it is now, which is a very mature ICP, which is the ideal customer profile, and their product market fit, their PMF. We first invested in late 2001. And like I said, the company was a little more than just an idea on a pitch deck. And they were really had a clear vision from the start. It was to simplify the complex process of strategic planning and execution for businesses of all sizes. And having background in corporate, I know exactly how much fluff and how much waste goes into strategy. You know, the big offsites that happen, and then the delivery just kind of falls apart the moment people come back into the real world. And it wasn't enough accountability, in my experience, certainly in executive roles and leadership roles, to really drive that execution piece of it, but also the development of strategy. It's not that easy. What we're going to see with Empiraa 2.0 really is quite clever. And it's really winning a lot of interest from pretty serious consulting firms that are going to be deploying it. And it operates not just for consultants, it also works for franchises that want to deploy it across their fleet. It also works for VC and private equity who want to deploy it across their portfolio to track traction and see where their priorities and challenges are. It's a real amazing tool, and it's something that we're really proud to be involved in. It's evolved into a scalable SaaS, a software as a service that has now clear market fit, really encouraging growth metrics, and a really driven team. So without further ado, Ash, I'm going to open the floor up to yourself, mate, very quickly, and I'm just going to remove my screen just to focus on you. Ash, tell us a little bit about why'd you start Empiraa?
For 10 years, I was part of a high growth business called 1310 Fence, and I started there and I was like employee number 9. And as I was working my way up as a sales rep, made my way up to general manager of sales after 10 years. And part of it, we did a lot of stuff, but we never actually did anything strategically. And what we found is when you grow and you grow without sort of a playbook, things tend to break pretty quickly. But then what I discovered was when we started doing strategy, and we were doing strategy, right? So this is the typical thing. We'd have all the state managers that spend 2 or 3 weeks writing their strategic view of what they're going to do for the next 12 months, and they come and present it to everyone, and they'd spend 20, 30 minutes rolling out these slide decks that looked various design areas. And I looked at it and went, 3 months later, I go, where are we at with this? And state manager every single time, oh, well, haven't had a chance to do it, or blah, blah, blah. And it just went, hang on a minute. Strategy was kind of broken. And it was almost like code word for not doing anything in your business. I'm working on the strategy. It was like George Costanza with the Penske file. And I looked at it and I went, okay, this is a bit silly. Like, what are we doing here? And then after 10 years I left there, went and ran, built sales for another business called Jumbo Corp. They had the same problem. But what we did is we worked with consultants on that one. And guess what? We got given, after a month, we got given spreadsheets and PowerPoints. And I went, oh, this is ridiculous. And then when I went to run Taxi Box for 12 months, same sort of thing. We're running everything off Google Sheets. So, okay, this is a real problem now. I'm 3 for 3. Every business I've worked in have had a disconnected execution path. And I was big on CRMs. I thought CRMs were fantastic. We were early adopters into safety culture, so I thought that stuff. And I really, like, I am a non-technical founder, but I was really interested in tech. Like those sort of people like to play with calculators when they're younger and that type of stuff. And so I was like that. And so, yeah, I just went, well, actually, let's solve the problem. And let's actually, turn something that a lot of people leave a lot of intellectual property on the floor when they leave their business, and it's like, how do we weaponize that and allow everyone to feel part of it? So,
yep. Well, it's a good segue. You mentioned the problem. One of the things that you've done actually quite innovatively in this particular fundraise is you've developed a public pitch deck, online pitch deck, and something that we'll be opening up to the syndicate after this call and giving them the link to access it. But would you be able to, put that up, and maybe we can just use this opportunity to step through what is the problem that you were trying to solve for? What's the problem that you identified? And then kind of segue into what's the solution doing about it?
Yeah, well, the bigger problem is it's a bunch of fragmented tools. So everyone's dealt with the Google Docs, the spreadsheets, the CRMs, the ill-fitting task management tools. And there's probably a real big one where a lot of people will say, what's the difference between Empiraa and a task management tool? Well, a project management tool or a task management tool is a very linear checkbox situation, when a strategy is a vastly more depth in color, more it's just a deeper process. And it is not just as simple as tick, tick, tick. And what was finding was there's a lot of ill-fitting tools out there, and a lot of companies were using things like Asana and Monday and spreadsheets, and they weren't getting the results. And the other side of it too, there was a lot of silos and double entry and just completely misalignment across the team. So the sales team would have no idea what the operations team's doing, or they have no input into what's doing. So then no one knew what anyone was doing. And it's unbelievably manual processes inside businesses around strategy. Like, a lot of it's report writing, a lot of it's gathering information, a lot of it's deciphering what happened in meetings, creating status updates, and building reports. It's just like, oh my Lord. So you're burning, a good C-level would burn 5 to 10 hours a week doing that type of stuff. And to be honest, it's just a complete lack of visibility. And you speak to a lot of business owners, and all they want is more vision. They just want to know what's going on in their business. And it doesn't matter if it's 3 people or 300 people. They want visibility. The reason why there's tools out there like Power BI and analytics tools is to do that. But no one's sort of been able to put all of that together in a real simple effective way. And I believe that, as we can talk about the product market fit and that later on, we've been able to do that. We've been able to sort of go, okay, let's put all these things into this nice little platform and be able to solve the problem. And probably the biggest one, honestly, there's no single source of truth around a lot of this stuff. So, which is, it is what it is.
Seeing how the solution has evolved from the idea to what it is today. Literally, I think it was last week only, that version 2.0 was released to market.
Yep.
I want to just quickly explain what version 2.0 is in terms of the solution that you're using to address the problem.
Yeah, so 2.0 is 5 years of effectively being in market and learning what works and what doesn't, and what the market actually wants. So what we've done is we've basically 1.0, we're out there, we got a little bit of traction, went okay, but what we discovered was it was actually a bigger problem, and it was more for the consultants. So we actually started building directly for a particular use case and a particular ideal customer profile. So what we did is we took a lot of the feedback that we met with, the BDOs, the Blue Rocks, the RSMs, these really large firms, but then we also met with smaller firms and 1 or 2 people bands, and they would sit there and go, oh, wish you could do this, wish you could do that. Oh, we're time poor. I mean, I was speaking to one very large advisory firm in Melbourne who can't get more advisors. But they're taking on more work. So the poor guys are just absolutely stretched to what they're doing. So they're stretched to the core. And so I looked at it, when hearing that feedback, it's like, okay, how do we unlock that so they can serve their clients better, provide better advice for them, better service for them? And then if they're doing that and they're using our software, then everybody's winning. The client's winning because they're getting better service from the consultant. The consultant's winning because they're able to expand their client book, and we're winning because we're getting, a really, good customer connection. But what we did is we just learned from real world experience, and we're able to sort of shape the product very similar to what Azure did in the early 2010s for cloud computing. We really leant into the AI aspect. I was really hesitant on AI initially because there's a lot of AI slop out there, and a lot of slopware as a term I heard the other day. So what we wanted to do is, I wondered if we're going to have AI capabilities inside the platform that had to be impactful, they had to provide insights, they had to either augment, replace, or enhance and they had to do 2 of the 3. If they didn't do 2 of the 3, then we didn't do it. So if it was like, oh, that's cool, okay, cool, but does it augment, replace, or enhance? No. Done. So
Yep.
So yeah.
And you mentioned just before around the consultants and all that sort of stuff. Like, tell us a little bit from your point of view, the market. Why is this a market worth going after, and why is now the right time to do it?
The market opportunity is massive. The market, and it was during this DD process we fully got fully grasped with the understanding of what it's going to be. It is legitimately going to be nearly a $450 billion market within the next 8 years. It's worth grabbing because there's no market leader in this. There's no Canva, there's no Adobe, there's no Xero, there's no QuickBooks. And people are going to consultants more than ever to help them grow their business, consultants and business advisors. AI hasn't replaced those. People will use things like ChatGPT and that, but at the end of the day, they will still always go to have that human experience so they can have that one-on-one and use their IP and help them grow. It's a massive industry. It's talking, what is it? There's over 300,000 consultants and business advisors between Australia, US, Canada, and New Zealand and England. We haven't even talked about MENA and all those. So it's a massive opportunity. And then the other one, honestly, there's a lot of accountancy firms that are starting to move into advisory to expand their services so they can get greater return on investment from their clients. So if we can actually provide tools that allows accountants looking to transition to advisors, because to be honest, most of the time accountants just look at the top and bottom line and tell you if you're doing well, whereas there's far more depth to it. So it's an amazing time to do it. There's no one really jumping in to do it this way. The incumbents like the Cascades and the 90s and that, they're very locked to a certain way of working. They kind of want to replace the consultants. We don't. we want to enhance consultancy, we want to enhance advisory.
100%. Look, we use the platform, but we're very simplistically for our purposes within our businesses. But I've seen the power of it. You can literally throw in a CSV file, a PDF, a PowerPoint, a doc, a website link, whatever it is, tell it how you want it to structure or what framework of strategy you want it to use. It will actually create for you a very baseline, but a very detailed strategy or action plan, depending on whatever it is that you want to do.
Yeah.
And the different types of plans that it can spit out, whether it's your go-to-market, your digital strategy, your SEO strategy, whatever high-level business plan that you needed to kind of develop and execute. It's actually quite incredible. And I would encourage anyone watching this video to jump on it, give it a try, play with it, because it's quite incredible the sort of insights and frameworks you can actually bring to life. And I can definitely see what you're saying. It enhances the consultant's front end. It enhances the consultant's back office.
Yep.
It is actually quite powerful and gives the consultant a very direct line of sight of how the client is tracking toward whatever strategy or business plan they've put together. So it's quite incredible. And you're right, I haven't seen a market leader in this space like the Canva for design or Xero for accounting. There's just nothing that exists like this. So you mentioned, and we talked about the accountants, but maybe Ashley, with regard to the ideal customer profile, can you talk to us a little bit more? That's a great visual there, by the way. Can you talk to us a little bit more about who are you targeting? How did you get there? Because it's been a little bit of a test and learn journey. And how are you finding that traction with the go-to-market now?
Yeah, so we have tested almost every professional services market over the past 4 to 5 years. And we originally focused on servicing 4 very distinct categories. But as with most things, you can't do everything well. So we've decided to niche down. And today we focus specifically on consultants and business advisors. That is a particular niche that we are marketing to now. But like you said earlier, it doesn't mean that the platform doesn't work for other ICPs like franchises, like VCs, that any sort of company that works across a multiple client sort of base or multiple portfolios, that's where Empiraa really thrives. So yeah, essentially we are currently focusing on Australia and the US. And we will do a bigger push into the US next year. That's our focus. But we're particularly focusing those consultants that have 3 to 20 employees. They're servicing small to medium businesses. And that's really been the focus that we have found the most traction on with the product. And we've had, direct feedback that this is actually the product they've been looking for that combines all their tools and into that one holistic place. So
it's taken you a while to understand who your ideal customer profile is. And once you did that, you figured out very quickly also, how do we actually talk to them? How do we get their attention? How do we engage them? How do we get them to try the product? Talk to us about what you've been doing over the last few months, now that you've got your ICP, to actually grab them.
Yeah, for sure. Ash, if you can just scroll down to the go-to-market section so that people can see on the screen as well what we're referencing. Essentially, we've tried obviously so much over the past few years to target different people, but now that we're focusing on consultants and business advisors, we have made a concerted effort to choose 3 channels to market to, and they are lead generation with meta ad campaigns, and that's the majority of what I'll focus on today. But the other 2 are affiliate partnership channels and also cold email outbound campaigns that are powered with AI. In this example here that you can see on the screen, you can see a small snapshot of the June to August 3-month results that we received from our lead generation meta ads campaign. with only as a minimal amount of $4,000 spent across those 3 months, we were able to generate 37,000 reach across Meta. And that funnels down to the endpoint of 12 customer conversions. Now, that is, for the people that don't know, that is a 210 times return on ad spend there. We're able to generate a $465,000 a month demo pipeline from these channels. And the only thing that's essentially stopping us now is the ability to convert those qualified leads that we're getting through this funnel. And we just don't have the manpower to convert them into paying customers.
And so if we pause there, Ash, you've been driving a lot of the sales as founder-led sales processes. Yep. So a lot of this stuff has actually been yourself reaching out to the qualified or the converted sort of funnel as it works down the different tiers. And it's the point Ashley's making is really important to understand, why is this race happening now? It's really to activate and open up this funnel. Do you want to just add a little bit more about that, Ash?
Yeah. Look, it's one of those things that startups, when they tend to raise, is like, oh, we're raising just to keep the lights on, or raising to do that. Yeah. And don't get wrong, like any business that's fundraising, you're doing it for multiple reasons. But one of the biggest drivers, in all honesty, is because we really want to activate this funnel. We've got a go-to-market strategy that works. We've found the channels that work in Meta, especially Facebook and Instagram. We find the perfect example of it. We find that our leads come in between sort of 6 and 10 p.m. every night. And it's generally because the consultant or the advisor is sitting there on their phone, they're playing through and they're scrolling through and seeing our guide that we're offering for free. And they're like, oh, actually, this is interesting. And then they download it, and then we contact them. The issue is if we're getting 510 leads coming in, it generally takes 3 to 4 touch points to actually get through to them before you get even a demo booked in. So you start multiplying that. You're talking 2,500 to 3,000 touch points. Divide that by weeks, divide that by hours. We just don't have the between myself doing all the other stuff that a founder does. Sales is 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, but we just need the manpower of people to actually be able to activate that.
Early on, you have to have that direct link to potential clients. You have to understand what's making them convert, and you have to be involved. Yep. And so the conversion that you're seeing is actually quite the impressive thing for me when I looked at your metrics. You're actually converting at a phenomenally high rate.
Yeah.
I think there's like 87%.
Yeah, so something like that when it comes to demos, because the reason that honestly, because the problem, the market that we're talking to, and then the problem they're all dealing with is the same. They're just like, I'm just using spreadsheets, and it's amazing. Even a lot of the bigger guys, my God, like there's some companies that go, you'd be surprised that we're talking to a PE firm that just basically runs off Excel spreadsheets, and they've got well over $1 billion in assets. And they're like, well, we need to bring this in so we can streamline this, and this will replace us getting more business analysts, and so it keeps their costs down. So, and talking to the customer. So the way we are looking to do is basically just to keep getting these demos booked in for I can close the demos, because I know I can close demos. So that's what we're doing.
Fantastic. Yep. Between the two of yourselves, you've got a similar name, both have long hair, both wear glasses. The only difference is really just a beard. So
I shaved those off.
Talk to us about the team itself, in more broadly speaking, because I know, Ashley, you've been involved with the business pretty much from the start as well. I mean, you're the director of marketing. You know exactly how this business operates, but talk to us about the team broadly.
Yeah, that's right. So you've got myself, obviously. I'm part of I've been in C-levels for 15 years, and obviously founded Empiraa. 15 years or nearly 17 years sales background. Understand RevOps, and also been a founder for 5 years, so I understand that side of it. So Ash McVee, who is definitely probably the heartbeat and the rock of the business, gets it done unbelievable when it comes to sale, to our marketing, our branding. You know how many people say to us, "Oh my God, how much are you spending on your branding and marketing?" That, well, we've got a machine right there that does that. 10x's what we do. So it's amazing. And Ash is very, very, very tuned to the product and understands UI and UX from her background as a graphic designer, and also in university doing CSS and that type. So there's the background there. Then we've got Ramel, who is our full stack developer. We're all based in Melbourne, by the way. We're not offshore. We're all work out of Burke Street. So there's us three as a full time. Ramel is an absolute workhorse. He's it's 8 o'clock at night. I think he just finished doing some coding stuff now. We all work in. I don't believe in having roles that duplicate. I believe in, if you have a Venn diagram, we all intersect, but we've all got our own separate roles. So we run very efficiently. We run very passionately, and we all understand the problem. We've got Mark Hogan, who's our finance director and our CFO, to make sure that our bills are paid, that we don't have the typical startup problems. Who's actually the CFO of Carpet Court, and then over the journey we've had Trent Innes, who's the managing director of or the former managing director of Xero, really helping us shape the narrative of what Empiraa should be. His thing always was Xero. Why it succeeded was because it wasn't an accounting tool; it was a collaboration tool, and it was a collaboration tool between the client and the accountant. And he goes, that's why it won. This is my old floppy disk, hand them in. That's not a collaborative way to account. And then Ian Markram, who's been probably one of our biggest supporters. He's a 25-year consulting vet. Had a really good exit, but also just an amazing business coach that's well sought after globally. So we've got some really, really strong people in the tent that work, understand the problem, but also are very passionate about the problem.
Look, and the team's clearly capable, because if I'm looking at my notes around the traction, your gross margin on the product is just shy of 90%, around 85 to 88%. You have virtually no churn of customers. Your customer acquisition cost payback is 23 days, which is phenomenal. Average contract value of $2,700. And that is the aggregation of all the different markets, whether it's Europe, US, and Australia, normalized into Australian. So the pipeline is what really gets me excited. You had 850 grand pipeline just from that exercise, and now how to attract the right customer into the funnel and start converting it, getting it to a demo. But talk to us about some of the traction and the metrics that you're seeing now. Now that you figured out who your ICP is, how do you go to market? How do you talk to them?
Yeah, I mean, the real exciting thing is the 18 countries. Like I was telling Vadim the other day, I literally woke up and there was a sign up from Portugal on our highest plan at €600. One of the things actually I'll quickly touch on what we've done with the product is we've been able to create localized pricing baselined at USD. So the great thing is, so if someone in Portugal signs up, they sign up on euros. And if you don't have to look at the what's the name, XE to realize euro to Aussie, that's more of those would be fantastic. So but and then once we blend it all in, our ACV is roughly that 24 to 2700 range. I know it does fluctuate a little bit because of just, especially now, the customer acquisition costs. I'm really hell-bent on running efficiently. I don't believe in running things so we have to that we just burn money. We got to respect money, and we've got to weaponize money. So, and grew up in a business 1-310 fence, and that was just drilled into me effectively that okay, how do we win fast and how do we win efficiently? So, and that was effectively driven by our CAC and keeping it under that sort of around that 27 days, because our what's name is, you know, our average contracts is, let's just say, $199 per month. Yeah, 199 into 183, you're talking a very low CAC. So
less than a month.
The way we've designed the product as well, we designed the product as per org, not per user, and we've done that deliberately because people sit there and there is a bit of a turn off around SaaS products having to pay per user, and people come up with 1,000 different ways to, you know, link share and all that sort of stuff, where we've done the maths, we understand what the numbers are, we want to land and expand, we want more people using the product. More people use the product, that means we've got more ability, more eyes, and more chance to grow the business.
Okay, and the public pitch deck, which we'll share, actually makes it really easy to understand if you're doing well or not versus industry and benchmarks, because it's, you know, it's effectively traffic lighted against the various benchmarks. So you see green everywhere, and grey effectively just means you're on par, or there's no benchmark. But so it's fantastic, and to get these unit economics and these metrics going this early, after all the effort you've put in trying to figure out how to communicate to the right person in the right way, it is really exciting. And again, I go back to the pipeline that this has created. You know, more than half of the pipeline is in that final demo, 465K, that block in the middle, out of the 850K pipeline that's sitting there. So that's not even talking about the new opportunities that have come up since you've launched Empiraa 2.0 this week. So in terms of the revenue, so before Empiraa 2.0, you were doing approximately 75K.
Yeah, around 75K
annualized sort of revenues, and because you made that deliberate decision to focus on the product, park the sales, really figure out how do we drive it better.
Yep.
Now, since the launch of 2.0 only last week, you've increased your ARR in terms of actual build to 85K roughly.
Yep.
You've
in a week.
You've then, I'm just looking at my notes, you've then signed up an additional 52 grand in trials, 14-day trials. So those trials will convert to billing in 7 days.
Yep.
You've then got a further 50 grand of commitments from various companies to start jumping onto trials.
Yep.
And those are companies you've been talking to, large consulting firms. And on top of that, you've started the USA Everline franchise trial, 3 months, which once completed will be a further 60K ARR. So when you're looking on the space of a week, and this is what I'm talking about, that pipeline, it's now starting to convert as you've taken your focus away from product and development and research through now back into that pipeline conversion, but it's still founder-led sales.
Yeah.
But even just on that, you're looking at just under $250,000 ARR once these various initiatives that are listed are going to start to convert to signed up. So really exciting. It just, for us as an existing investor, we just thought this is the perfect opportunity to share with the syndicate. This is the right time to jump into it, because all the elements seem to be really positive. We're really excited by what you guys are doing. But who are you competing against? Very quickly, who are your key competitors?
I give honestly apathy. No, our biggest competitor, in all honesty, it's things. There is Cascade that's out there. They're probably the market leader, I would say, in strategy. But once again, that they focus on their whole business model is predicated on effectively trying to wipe the consultant out. And they're also doing a pay per user model. It's about $40 per user Aussie. They're looking more at the enterprise end. We're looking for the small to medium firm that looks after the small to medium business. Because at the end of the day,
have you got anything that you can put on screen as you talk to it?
I don't think I've got anything on here actually. I can show you Cascade if you want.
No. Just in terms of the pitch deck, and if there's anything there that on competitors that you want to call out.
I don't think we've put a competitor one in
Smart.
here for D, but that's okay.
No, that's all right.
That's right. No, I think we have. But yeah, they're Cascade. But then also too, you look at things like Monday, Asana, ClickUp, those type tools, and people also think, oh, we could just use those. Don't use them. Try to use them for strategy. You're spending more time working in the product than actually working on your client. And also too, the way they're designed is not actually to help clients, help consultants or clients. They're a task management tool, and we've won clients that were going to use Asana and have come over to Empiraa because our billing model is far cheaper. Our onboarding is far simpler. The client, you got to remember too, we're dealing with this small to medium business, right? So they don't want to spend all day building out Notion templates, and they don't want to build out, all these intricate workflows with their consultant. They just want to go in. Where are we at now? Where are we at with our goals? Where are we at with our objectives? How are we going to get to where we need to go? That's what they're worried about. They want to spend time working in the plan, not on the plan.
Yeah. No, look, Ash, you are one of the most resilient and one of the most responsible founders with fundraising I've come across, certainly in our portfolio. If you think about the journey you guys have taken over the 4 years coming up to this, you've done little bits of raises every now and then. I think it's somewhere in the pitch deck as well from memory, but you just little drops just to kind of get you into the right understanding of what's happening with the market, what's happening with your customer, and really making every dollar count and stretching it to make sure that you're looking after the investors. And that's one thing I really value about you. Tell us then about what are you going to do with this raise that you're doing? So you're raising a 750K round.
Yep.
Half of it has already been filled with existing investors like us.
Yep.
Even after releasing this public pitch deck, you've already got approximately 100 soft commitments.
Yep.
So this round will close. We have no doubt about that. But what are you going to use the money for once you've got it?
Yeah, I mean, commercialization of our go-to-market. That's definitely our biggest one. We've been able to streamline our product development significantly using the latest tools that are available to us. We're doing weekly updates. So when people go, oh, how are you going to build a moat? How are you going to develop fast enough? Because that's always a big question around startups. We've got a unbelievably streamlined process. I was showing Simon Lee the other day, who's in your syndicate, and he who grew $100 million business in assembly, turned around and went, whoa, you're running efficient there. We're all about efficiency. So when it comes to product expansion, we're probably about 20% there. Commercialization, that's the one area that we know that if we can really ramp and put a lot of money into that this will allow us to not have to fundraise every 10 minutes like startups do, but actually really start to grow the business in a very, very aggressive way. As we saw before, there's a $450 billion carrot to grab. We want to grab as much as we possibly can out of that, and the way to do that is to invest in commercialization, and then obviously customer success and running the business, that type of stuff. But realistically, commercializing that go-to-market, commercializing that sales funnel, and ensuring that we continue to have these evangelists of customers.
Final question from me before I get some other ones that I've received. Why do you think you're going to be successful? What makes you think you're going to win?
We never lose focus of why we're doing it. We're married to the problem and we're married to the solution. I'm not doing this to put myself or Ash or anyone in AFR headlines for raising this or that. I want to solve the problem. I'm married to the problem. If I didn't think it was a problem, I would have given up years ago. There's no one's doing what we're doing, and I know that once we can get it into the hands of the masses, that we could do something absolutely phenomenally impactful for businesses that are using us, for the investors that invested in us, for the people that partner with us.
Yep, that's great. Thank you. All right, Juan, I know you're on the line there. If there's anything that you'd like to ask please, by all means.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks. Thanks so much, Vidyam, and thanks Ash and Ashley for the presentation. It's really interesting. I had some financial questions, but I think you've answered them all in the last few minutes and the last few slides. So I'll go in a different direction. I want to better understand how the product works, and I think I understand like the ICP. So let's say I'm a consultant and I buy the license. Do I buy it and then onboard my clients into it as sub accounts so I can see what they're doing? Can you kind of walk me through that, please?
Yeah. So our model is we do a soft direct to market because it is what it is. People want to buy one license, but we do sell directly to consultants. We'll sell from $199 up to $699 and then additional payments per sub accounts. So in here, as you can see, the consultant gets on my portal. They can see all their client sub accounts. In there, you can add clients, you can remove clients. So what we find in Australia, to be honest, the way we've positioned the pricing is that a lot of the times the consultant will actually give them an Empiraa account a part of their engagement, which it just makes them feel warm and fuzzy. The US, which from the sound of your voice, from that North American region, they're far more commercial, and they will. We've got clients that are charging actually more than we charge them. So really depends on the commercialization. But yeah, we offer this my portal is completely for the consultants. They can create templates. They can create a templated approach for their clients. So if you've got like 4 or 5 different templates, that you can actually work with your clients and be able to sort of onboard them faster. We really sort of have designed the product. It's really hard to strike that balance, and I believe we've done a pretty good job of it, of what does the consultant want, but what does the consultant need to engage their client? So, and goes back and forth. So, and that's come from 5 years of testing and asking. So,
yeah. So while I've got a friend that runs a digital agency who I made the mistake of engaging because he never worked with friends. And so he has a very haphazard way of deploying projects, and I was one of those. And I turned around and said, I can't do this anymore. I really need to have some sort of structured, organized plan around how you're going to support me. And this was a godsend, because it kind of took whatever IP he had in his brain around how he operates his agency and how he does his engagements into a very easy to understand, trackable, visible approach.
And that was a real key thing of it. Like the model of it is your goal and objectives model. It just rolls up. So we make it as simple as possible. So this is on this side. This is your client side. So your client gets this. They don't get the My Portal. They don't get the strategy. They might get the strategy sale. I can't remember. Depends on the thing. But then also too, you've got the insights where you can benchmark your clients against each other. You can do risk analysis. This is all powered by our AI, and it's all done in real time. Predictive analytics can go in there and actually suggest actions and show critical natures, but also board reporting and client reporting. So you can create client reports in seconds, and it's pulling the data directly off the plans and rolling it up to you. So then you can engage with your clients and say, okay, hey, look, this is there's a pretty good report here, and then you can go in and just edit and change whatever you need to change and email that off with your email client. So it's really designed for the consultant or advisor to engage their clients, but also to sort of effectively be their HQ to allow them to have the tools so they can engage. And by the way, this is the start. We're going to be building proposal builders, pipe, CRMs, Miro board or Miro board-esque whiteboarding, SWOT analysis, gap analysis. So we're really going to build out, and these will be add-ons. So we can expand. We can do a land and expand strategy on revenue, but we're not going to be doing it in a way of about here's like HubSpot that charges you go from one tier to the next tier. It's like you lose your leg and arm and your firstborn. Here we just like effectively micro growing it by saying, okay, extra $19 a month for this product, extra $9 a month for this product. We're all about just driving value.
Great. Maybe one other question I had is I noticed there's a number of integrations listed on your site, and I can see where that would be important, because if you're pulling all different types of like KPIs into this dashboard, then each of them can tie to, you know, like one or multiple tools. And
Yep.
so since it's a little bit of like a distributed model where the clients are going to have their whole implementation of those enterprise tools, can you walk me through how that works and what the strategy is for growing that?
Yeah, so the integration, we're really building an integration marketplace inside of it. We've got that here. We're going to effectively allow the user to integrate whatever they need to inside to their objectives. So if you've got a HR objective or HR goals, you can hook it up to my HR or Employment Hero, and it'll pull directly through it. So because one of the things that we realize as well is, we've learned this with AI, people are becoming far more lazier around software. So what we want to do is be able to actually go, okay, well, if you hook this up and then you've got this live living and breathing environment that's controlling your strategy, and you're saying, okay, I'm the HR manager and I can see what my responsibilities are for the overall strategy. And then by the way that rolls up to what's actually happening with your business, with your consultant. So it all sort of rolls up. So then the consultant can have better conversations with the C-level or the board and say, hey, look, we can see that your HR manager's missing all their goals, even though it's all connected up to Employment Hero. So it allows. So we go back to what effectively we're an AI, strategic AI-driven business analytics tool, because that's what we are. And at the end of the day, we're saving consultants $130,000 a year in an analyst for $200. You take that any day of the week, or an offshore resource. So that's what the whole thing is. How do we create this connected, integrated environment around strategy that hasn't been there before? But it's all got to make sense. Can't just do things that are cool. We've got to do things that have got use cases and work backwards.
Yeah, I can see the value, and having, worked in organizations where we brought in consultants and had like a limited engagement, and then they had to come back 6 months later, and the amount of information they had was filtered through what people would provide for them. So the level of effectiveness was highly diminished. So I could see how this could get around a lot of challenges in that engagement.
Well, it removes the human bias.
Yeah, that's the use case that attracted us to Empiraa when it originally was developed to be a direct B2B sort of solution, but now it's effectively become a B2B2B via consultants. But that's definitely the problem that originally I saw coming out of corporate myself, that's going to solve quite quickly. But then quickly realized this is actually a front-end stack for consultants, which is missing in their industry. There's no customer-facing technology that they can use as clean and simple as this. So it's kind of addressing a number of things, and that's what's got us quite excited about it. Juan, any other question?
No, that's all for now. Thanks so much.
Amazing. And the one I've got here, Ash, you've gone through a few iterations of your learnings around the market and the product. Clearly, pivoting is something you're very comfortable with. Where do you see this product moving forward?
I think that we've got onto the right freeway. I think we're going to continue to move forward, but I continue to listening to what the customer wants and what they need, and iterating in that. I firmly see this as being a QuickBooks or a Xero of consultants. I tell a story that Alex from Rechargely and I went to XeroCon a few years ago. We were each other's dates. We didn't know anyone, and that's because I just want to have a booth here at at next time I want to have a booth at Xerocon, and he did. And I said in my usual, I said, "F that! I want Empiricon. I want all the apps that are connecting to us to help consultants and advisors." So that's the way I see it.
I hope you get there. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So.
Now, before we kind of start to wrap up, there's a broader benefit that you're offering to investors coming into this round, one that isn't in the deal memo from us, because it needed to be a broader announcement from Ash for every investor coming into the round. And we'll share this with the syndicate as well afterwards. But Ash, do you want to kind of talk about the benefits that you're giving people to not just invest, but actually become part of the journey?
Yeah, we really want to have engaged. One thing I've tried to do with our investor group so far is have an engaged investor group, not just some people want to do set and forget, and they just want to put the money in and pray to God we IPO in 5 years, and that, great, cool, that's good. But what we want to do also, especially with the people that are more in professional services, if you do invest, and Vadim will send an email through at certain levels, will basically effectively guarantee you Empiraa for either a year, 12 months, for life. It's just depending on the different levels. I'm a firm believer of the old term, eat your own dog food, effectively, which we want. If you are a consultant and you're in professional services and you're looking at a product like this, you go, well, actually, I wouldn't mind A, investing, and B, signing up. You could effectively do both with an investment. And Vadim will send across what all that is.
If and again, tell me if the tiers are still the same. If it's anything below $25,000, it's a annual membership to the $399.
Yeah, to growth. Yep, that's growth.
So
yep.
minimum
just
5K, minimum 5K and up to 25K. Yep. That's about I can't do the maths, but that's about
you talk about $4,000. You talk about $4,000 worth of value in that. Yep.
But anyone that's investing over 25,000, it's a lifetime on one of the highest tiers.
Yeah, of the scale, which is the $599.
Yeah.
And we just want to reward. I'm a big believer of give, get. So I think we've been able to grow and be able to sustain the pivots and the changes in the market, and because we've had a very engaged investor base. We talked about how much we've raised so far. We're probably going to crack nearly 400K from our own investor base so far, of the 750. That tells me that people believe in either me or the product or the solution. I still yet to figure that one out, but it's obviously people are right behind of what we do. So for me, I'm a big believer of that.
Yeah, so I just did the maths on my phone. So anything from 5,000 investment earns you a 12-month membership on a $399 package, which is roughly $4,800 value. And then anything over 25K is lifetime on the highest tier, $599 subscription.
Yeah.
So for anyone that's interested, it's a great thing. Look, we use it across our businesses, and we're not consultants, so for us, it's amazing. But yeah, so look, in terms of the logistics for the syndicate, we've got 2 deals running at the moment for Empiraa, pretty much to align with the same sort of thing that Ash is providing the benefits around. So anyone that wants to invest as little as 5,000, there's a standard Empiraa deal note. Within that deal note, there's a link to the investment that allows for $25,000 or over, up to 50,000, and that attracts a lower carry of 12.5% versus the standard 20%. Which is a fantastic thing for any investors that have the means, because it really just aligns their investment capability with Ash's journey and the ability to invest greater. And then anything over 50,000, we're actually telling people to go directly to Ash Brown instead of through the syndicate, where they can arrange their own custom terms with Ash and avoid any carry from the syndicate whatsoever. The other thing we're doing from the syndicate's perspective is we're eliminating all we're absorbing all of the fees that would typically be incurred with investing through syndicates on the Aussie Angels platform. And that's something we've chosen to do to support Ash. And because we're existing investors, we want to see Ash succeed. So head on over to the syndicate page. An email will be issued out again with the link to it. So we're very excited to support. Ashley, thank you so much for doing this founder Q&A. Any last comments or things that you want to kind of mention to the group?
No, I'm hoping that I've reached out via email and obviously for here, and this will be circulated. I'm looking forward to speaking to, if anyone wants to speak to me directly or shoot an email, feel free to do so. I'm passionate about what we're doing, and I'd love to discuss your thoughts on it. So
amazing. All right, thank you guys. We'll leave it there. We'll share a recording of this afterwards. And if you see any activity by Ash and Ashley on LinkedIn, show them some love.
give us a
get a bit of
like.
engagement going. Give us some like and comment.
Thank
Thank you all.
comment and
Have a lovely
subscribe.
night. Thank you all.
Thanks, guys.